You can tell my posture is bad sometimes. Alright, can you guys hear me okay? Oh, let me change it. There's always one thing. It's not one thing, it's another. So we're going to wait about the 10 minutes like we usually do, and then I'll do a shorter introduction because I put all of the links in the video bodies. Let me see if I can do that with Twitch. Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, I can't. Can I not edit my existing current stream to Twitch? That'd be weird. I don't want to. Okay. Yes. Okay. Oh. Rude. I can't add the links. Let me make sure this... It is this. Okay. So we're going to wait for about the 10 minutes for people to kind of come in, and then I'm going to talk about some pattern manipulation stuff again, and some fun sleeves, because that's what people were asking about last week, or last stream. Technically it's 3D modeling. I paused it on a funky face. Hi, Rosemary. Okay. I also tried out that Discord live stream announcement, like event announcement tool. So, interesting. I don't know how I feel about it yet. Where's my other soda? We might just do a simple like medieval fantasy dress, because people had a lot of questions about how to do like the billowy sleeves, which is relatively easy. Oop. Come on. Let me check that thread. And I'll show you guys how to do some gathering as well, from basic pattern stuff. Because we had quite a few people who had that question. It's going to be mystery fantasy dress, but also I have no references, so I'm going to be making this one up, is what's going to happen. So hopefully this time around we'll have some like how to add or manipulate gathering into a garment and where you want it, as well as some billowy, big flowy sleeves, which is easier than anyone thinks it is, especially with Marvelous Designer. Real life, it's always hard to cut out. Let's see. I don't know if I really want to do multiple layers. Some fantasy dresses are super flowy, like just on the internet. I'm just looking at like random photos under the tag fantasy dress. But layers take a lot of time to work. And while streaming, it consumes a lot of my CPU. So I don't know if you guys want to see that. But we'll do something flowy and pretty and fantasy-like. With some billowy sleeves and some billowy skirts. I might end up doing a couple of sleeves here. Let's see, let's see. Hello everybody. We're just gonna have 3 more minutes and then I'll start my introduction, and then I actually put in the YouTube channel, in the YouTube video description, the links that I normally post. And then I did the same with Twitch, but it's in our bio. So it'll be a little faster and I'll have a little bit less of a spiel. And then we'll actually start making the fun stuff. I can't decide if I want to have it be like a medieval dress is super easy. So I'm like, oh, medieval dress. That'd be so easy. But then I have 2 hours to stream. So I'm like, what do you guys want to see? But I'll definitely focus on some sleeves today at the very least, because that was a bunch of questions on like manipulating a sleeve. And there's some pretty flowy things. So we might just go full just medieval random fantasy here. So let's see. I like that one. It's pretty. Let me see if there's more. I might do a bunch of I'll also probably show gathering and how to do some gathering, because a lot of people had some trouble with that in the past. And we'll probably do a fitted bodice and then a relatively fitted skirt with some gathering in the waist and at the center and some flowy sleeves. And go with that concept. Oh. Okay, it's 10 minutes after the hour. So welcome everybody. For those of you who are new here, I am Meg and I am the 3D designer and community manager for a lot of our social medias. So I've linked in the bios of at least Twitch and the video of this one. It's also in our YouTube. Links to our Discord channels where you can join our Discord and talk with other users. I've also linked our YouTube channel for those of you who are on Twitch, because we do let our videos expire. I do let our videos expire because we are not affiliated with Twitch in any real way. And so these videos will exist on our YouTube channel permanently, but we do let them expire on Twitch, as well as in the body of the videos and in our bios and everything like that. The software is called Marvelous Designer that we will be using today, just like the name of our YouTube channel and our Twitch channel. So for those of you in the future, if you are asking me in the comments section what software I'm using, it's the name of the channel. And then for those of you who are new to Marvelous Designer, we have on our YouTube channel and in the body of the videos links to our beginner tutorials for Marvelous Designer. They are using the older UI, but they are still applicable. for the training, because it's basically just how to learn the concepts of pattern making from scratch and what a fit looks like, a good garment looks like on an avatar. So that'll get you started using Marvelous Designer for the first time, as well as in all of our bios. If you're having any technical issues, I recommend you send either the email to support@marvelousdesigner.com, or you can go to the best way is to go to the website and then log in and then go to the contact tab, because then at least we have a little bit of your information ahead of time if you're having any like technical difficulties with the software. But now that my spiel is done, it's a little faster hopefully this time than it was last time. Let me pop the chat out. No, I hate when this happens. I hate when the chat is stuck being part of my OBS. In disable preview. Yeah. Okay. So, oh my goodness. Pop out the chat. I will fight you, OBS. Stop. Okay. There we go. I'm gonna have a temper tantrum. Okay, there we go. I assume you guys can hear me okay. I'm gonna check this one more time. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Today I'm going to be making a fantasy dress, but the concepts I'm going to be covering are going to be like how to make those flowy sleeves, how to make a flowy dress. In this case, I will be cheating some of this, and I'll cover what I'm doing and why. So, as you heard in the very beginning as I was talking, I don't actually have a reference image. I'm just applying concepts that people wanted to learn. So first of all, it's going to be a dress. So I'm going to grab one of our female avatars. Oh yeah, I don't have my glasses. I couldn't find them, so I'm suffering. Luckily. Yeah, I don't know where they are. So, welcome to whatever this face is right now. Let's see. If I do this, it's because I don't have my glasses on. Okay. Let me find some reference pictures. So today I'm going to be covering some basics. Let's grab stuff from the modular configurator. So these are the pattern blocks. So these are the basic blocks that come with the software. They're free for you to use to start like learning and manipulating your patterns from. So I'm going to grab some t-shirts. Let's see. I'm going to do the set-in sleeve. And we'll do the v-neck just because I'm going to be doing changes, and we'll have the basic sleeve. Actually, no, let me save it. Let me find one. Ugh. These are my least favorite glasses. They're fun, but like the shape is a little annoying. But, well, we're doing fantasy today. So as I'm making this stuff, feel free to like ask for specific concepts, and then I might just apply those to the actual pieces here. And I'm simulating, okay, let me just get the sleeve on. So this is a basic garment here, making sure I can see. So I'm going to be making a relatively tight-fitting dress. So let's make the body of the dress. So I'm going to make the bodice first. I've used the modular mode. I don't need it anymore, so I'm going to remove these frames. So I remove the frames, and I don't need my neckline here, this ribbing. So this is going to be relatively tight-fitting, so let's go ahead and throw some darts in here. So I'm using the dart tool, which is in the internal lines, and I'm just throwing it on. And I'm going to do the same to the back. This is me getting this basic shape down. You can use the, if you've already made something that fits a pattern block or something that fits your avatar, you can start with that, but this is just going to show you how to get there if you haven't ever done it before. Using the N hotkey, I'm using the segment sewing tool and then simulating. So it's not perfect, but it's going to be really tight, I believe. We're going with a corseted look. It's going to be taller in the back. You can see there's a excess here. It's nipping in the waist. It's a little bit lower than the actual waist of the pattern, but it looks fine here, so that's, I'm going to keep it. Oh, don't do that. So I'm checking how the back's going to look. It's going to take away all of that excess. I'm going to disable my preview. And you can see here on the back too, it's actually not perfect. Let's make all these match-ish. Ooh. Okay. Making the match at the waist. So let's see if I just make these match the waist. How that affects the fit. Definitely looked better earlier, didn't it? So this one is not going to be properly fit, just so you all know. I'm keeping the basics in place, so I'm going to keep a little bit away from the bust, from the apex of the bust. Oh, don't do that. I am going to cross directly through it in a minute, but just for the concept's sake here, I'm keeping away from the bust a little bit. As you can also see, the center shape of my pattern is going to give me the actual shape of these lines. So if I wanted this to be less hourglass shape, let's just say, I can actually just pull and move this out. You can see how this now looks very straight up and down, without actually changing how it's fitting. So this is 10 particle distance. Let's see. I'm actually going to go right ahead and delete the most of the waist here, I think. No, let's see. We're just going to be making a fitted dress, so let me do... I clearly need to take more out of the bottom. Out of the hips. Oh, come here. Click away. There we go. She has such a sway back, it's crazy. But that is our avatar. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna whiten it a little bit. Because I'm faking a corset right now. This is not actually something that should be a real, truly worn garment. Because this is actually very tight on her. Let me show you with the strain map of the fabric. Where is it? Here it is. So it's very, very tight on the waist. Which is fine. Actually, in fact, I want to do this. I'm going to do that, and then I'm actually going to have it go up in the sleeve. Okay. Let's also start making this a V-neck. Come on. We'll make this a really low V-neck. Why not? Fantasy dress. We're going to see the bra. And you can see here, based on how this garment is fitting, it doesn't want to stay in place because of the strain. So there's two ways I can do that. I can either increase... Come here. Okay, good. What else am I running? Oh, okay. Steam. Where are you? Okay, that was good. So I can increase the friction on here so I don't have to force it in place. So I'm just going to increase the friction of my avatar. Static friction. We'll do kinetic friction at 1. And I'm actually going to do Control Z before I go back. So it fits correctly here. I want to force it because I'm not going to actually give her the proper supporting undergarments. So I'm going to make my kinetic friction 1 and my static friction also 1. And now it's staying in place a little bit better. This is a way to cheat it. But it's not perfect, as you can see. Because I'm getting the drag lines here, so I can also remove the drag lines, but I do want to pin it in place, so I'm going to use this. I'm going to hold W and create pins right here just so that this doesn't move as I'm pulling at it. Because this isn't perfect. I don't need it to be perfect. I just want it to look pretty. So let's see. Let's pull this up on her arms. Let's see. I can either shrink this a little bit, because if you look at these drag lines, it's showing me where there's excess and where there's strain. So these point to where the problems are. So what I can do is just make this smaller. And also what I'm going to do is, to keep the shape of the neck here, I do want to give her a princess seam, which is going from the bust into the dart. So cut and sew. Oh yeah, I need to do the bottom too. Cut and sew, and that'll push it away. And then I can clean this up a little bit. I'm going to use or I'll simulate it first so you can see it. So because this is getting tighter, what's happened is that the gape here, the excess here, has moved down to underneath. So I can either just reduce this length so it pulls it up. I've increased the friction though, so that's what's happening. Oh, I also guess I deleted the pins. I'm gonna return her friction back to 0.8 and then 0.05. So it's fitting her a little bit better. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to keep my cheating ways, but I'm going to keep the friction correct. Because now I can just move the pins. I can pin it to her as well, but I am lazy. And I don't want to do that. So I'm actually shortening the length here. There's a couple of ways you can do that, but this is one of them, to accommodate for it being a tighter piece on the neck. Actually, I'm going to deactivate both of these because they're pulling. Let me see. Deactivate pattern and sewing. Simulate. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And Shift Q to hide. Okay. Because this needs to just be fitted, and then we'll have this be nice and pretty. And then this sleeve is still pretty big. So I'm doing this the hard way. You can easily do this by just reducing the pattern shrinkage, weft, and warp, but it's not going to be perfect. But what you can do is just... I need to reduce how much this circumference is, so I can actually check this by... I can create a dart here. I'll do that to show you. So you can do it the hard way, or the testing way, which is to draw on it using the drawing tools. You can also use the internal lines, the drawing tools on the garment. So I can actually consume all of this excess with this piece that I would like basically cut out. And I'll show you, because I'll do that now. Extend and trim. 2 pattern outline. Cut, because I'm not cutting and sewing, because I'm actually going to delete it. Oh. Doing it the hard way. Cut, sew. So I'm separating them because I'm actually going to merge them back together. Using the B hotkey, there's a sewing relationship here. I'm right-clicking the one that I don't want to move. Right-click and merge. Oh, come on, you. Well, I'll show you what it looks like before that happens. So you can see that it fits her much better. I'm just going to delete this and then do this sewing relationship. Overlapping sewing lines. Oh, it's the tiny little guys. B. Delete. That's why I wouldn't merge. Okay. Merge. And now we got to clean this up. Using the smooth curve tool, I'm going to pull this up. Because this is a very tight fitting piece. This is not meant to be truly wearable. This is the let's just make it as pretty as we can look. So there's a little bit of a bump here. So let's keep cleaning that up a little bit. Carve that out. There we go. See how it's much flatter now? Still needs a little help. I'm kind of cutting away from the bust. I don't want to do that. I'm going to take this one and do it here. There we go. And now it's much straighter. So you can see here. So we took this piece and then turned it into this. It does have a bit of an issue with the sleeve here. So convert to curve points, C. It's fine that it's tight. It's not a wearable piece, obviously. But we want it to be tight when it's a dress like this. And the reason I'm working on that half is because I'm just going to do a clone pattern with linked editing, or this would also be Control-C, Control-D. It looks like it didn't apply that, so that's fine. I'll just freehand it. Using the M hotkey for the free sewing tool, and then sew it into place, and then use the segment sewing tool. Oh, come on, you. This way I can just have the fit. It's like, this is the top I want, and then I'll have the big a flowy or ish skirt. And I'm going to do the same thing to the piece back here. Because these split evenly, I can actually right-click with my Edit Sewing tool and have Add Point to Pattern End so that I have my segment point there. And then I can do that directly to the internal line and do the same to these pieces. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I'm going to give this a curve. So we can kind of see what it's going to look like. Looks a little better. Remember to keep this as straight as you can, because it's going to be dissecting here. So you want to keep this a little square, but it's going to have a bit of a curve to it. And it will get cleaned up, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Cut and sew. Because now, because we have this excess points here and here, we need to clean them up. So I'm going to be using the smooth curve tool and just smoothing out this piece, because this piece is keeping this shape, this internal shape. So I'm cleaning up all of these curves. You can see where it's cut it out and where it might need more. This is going to get cleaned up in a minute because the waist is going to have to be extended. But we have the basic neckline of a nice deep V-neck dress. It'll be a fantasy dress. So that's fine. And we'll turn the sleeves back on, but we're going to do the sleeves last. So we're going to finish up the body of this dress first. To make this easier to extend the hem, I am going to rotate this side pattern piece. So rotate, make which line the x-axis? I want this to be the bottom. This will also affect the grain just a little bit. But this lets me pull all of this down. So I will show you what I mean. This is not going to fit correctly when I do this, but it will give us the basics. So I'm just grabbing all of those segment lines and pulling them down. It's ugly. It's okay. Hitting H. I'm going to turn off the strain map now. I'm hitting H to strengthen because sometimes it does help, but I will not be doing that. I'm going to pull this, select the mesh. So all of this front piece actually just needs to be pulled out of her. This doesn't fit and this is much too tight, so I do need to fix this. Oh, I lost the chat. Okay. And I just need to pull that hem out one more time. Out of the legs. There. So this is definitely far too tight. We know this for certain. I will turn the strain map on again. Super tight on the hips. This is not what we want. I will actually have a train on this dress too, so let's go ahead and do that as well. I'm going to turn off the strain map. Remove linked editing. And I'm actually going to split this. Yes, yes. Cut and sew. It most definitely will not happen today. I will not be making her some tactical gloves for this dress in a period of 2 hours. I also do know that there are tutorials online that of users who have already done that. But you can suggest it later, and then I'll probably start having some more voting options for specifically that kind of thing. So the community can vote on what they really want to see. So I'm applying linked editing because these are symmetrically linked. And I will be doing add points. So I'm adding a point to the waist, which is about here. You can see my little blue dot appears on my screen and on my pattern. So I can double check where it's going to move. I'm also going to select one here because I'm going to have this. I'm going to match my hip line. Oh, why'd you do that? Okay, stay there. Where's her lowest part? Oh, okay, we're going to make the hips a little lower. Okay, so I'm letting out and I'm adding volume here. Where is this? You. And you. Oops. So I'm getting the silhouette to fit right on her, so it looks really nice, and we're pretending that there's a corset underneath this for this beautiful fantasy dress. And here's going to be the fun and easy part. I'm going to give her a train. Well, we're going to put this at the floor first. Come here, you. Have this hit the ground. Enough. ish. Because the way I'm working and why I'm not doing the sleeves yet is because I need to have the skirt finished because the sleeves will lay on top of it. So I'm going to have this skirt hopefully done. So we'll get the silhouette adjusted. I want this to be a... Let's see. Do you want this skirt to be a basic tight skirt with a train, or do you want it to be like gathered with a train? I will let you guys vote on that one while I adjust the beginning of the silhouette here. And I know there's a 30-second lag. Oh, you wanted just mermaid skirt? All right. Let me see what... Because there's a couple of them. I'm like, wait, which Morticia? There's a couple. Which version? Okay, we'll do the super mermaid style. Give me my text. Okay. Okay. Which means I have to find her knees. Not opaque surface. I don't know why it says opaque surface. I'm like, that's not opaque at all. Okay, so it is here. And before I do any mistakes, align bottom. So I'm applying a segment point to all around where her knees are going to be. It's not going to be perfect, but that is fine. Because I'm going to do it this way. Align bottom again. And so we will start the narrowing of the skirt. Oh, we missed one. And making sure to do it evenly around is going to be key. And then we'll turn off. Okay. So there is the beginning of that Morticia Addams skirt. It's a little hobble skirt, let's be honest. That means I'm going to change up the hem a little bit too in the back. So you can do it manually like I'm doing, but you can also just right click and change length. You know, I can make it 100 at the end, stuff like that. I'm going to do it manually just because I feel like doing it manually. A lot of the time we're not really measuring for real garments, which makes life easy. So you can see I'm adding more and more volume. It's still not touching the ground, but that's fine because we'll fix that in a minute. So we do want to make this whiter. For this fantasy dress, I will add more gathering and stuff too, but as I always preach, you know, you want to have your Let me move this together a little bit. You want to have everything be the layers. You want to finish your layers first. So the lowest layer is going to be this dress. So I'm finishing at least the silhouette first, and then we'll move forward. What? Oh. Because I added that point. Smooth curve. Come here, you. Gotta fix that. More. More. There we go. Look at this beautiful hobble skirt. Okay. So I'm slowly adding more as evenly as I can. And that's how you're going to get this. You could do this in like a circle, but for the hobble skirt, Morticia Adams, I do want to have it be a little bit more like that style. To make it a little bit more visual here, let's make this wider in the front. And then I am going to grab the hem and have it touch the floor. In fact, it's going to pool on the floor. And this is also 10 particle distance. So we can see how it's pooling in this way. This also lets me start preparing my drape for my train, because I'm gonna see if I can get a train in this. Okay. So this is also how you can add volume to a piece without actually having to do any math, which is always a fun time. You just want to keep your pieces as even as possible in the center between where they're coming out of. See, I could also make this a circle skirt, but I also wanted this to be very, to not have the gathering that does. And I wanted this to be a little bit more conical in shape. Okay. Okay. So I'm selecting all of my patterns and I'm going to give it like a pressure value of 5 for a second. And then it does help push everything out and have it lay down without me having to fuss with it too much. So I could do less, I could do more. I could start curving these in a little bit. We'll curve them. We'll curve these lines just so it's a little bit more fun. Though, as you can see, it's going to force me to have to curve out the bottom because, remember, you want to square off all your pattern pieces. So, oh. I am going to play the game of remove all of these curve points. Delete curve points. Okay. Now I can use this. And just add a slight curve to all of these, trying to get them as close as I can to a 90-degree angle. Okay, let's see. So as you can see, because I have more and more complex pieces in the scene, it's slowing down, especially because I'm working at 10 particle distance, not 20. Delete curve points and then do it again. And this one needs to be more severe in the front just because this is a on the half, you can see. Come here. You need to... There you go. There we are. And then which side are you? Again, trying to make it as square as I can in this circle shape. Like, square everything off. So these corners are 90-degree angles. So they flow well. That's the most important thing. I'm going to add a train because I wanted to add a train. So we're doing that. I'm going to actually reduce this to, or bring this back up to 20 particle distance just so it's a little bit faster. So I can actually move on to the pretty fun stuff that everyone really wants to see. So to get me that train that I wanted, so we have a train. This is technically a train. I want this piece to come out. So I'm going to need to add to the back first, and then I can pull and add to the rest. So I'm pulling out along that line. So I could just leave it like this. It's nice and it's pretty, and it still matches. It's kind of nice. But we're going to add a little bit more to this train by pulling out the hem. I am not using GPU. I'm only using CPU with this. Rotate parallel to this to this. I'm just moving this just because I see there's a point there. I could just cut it off, but I also want to make sure that this flows well. So let's see. Okay. I do not like Bezier curves, and this is why. Delete curve points. Square that off. Come here. Show me. Okay. There we go. Clean enough. And I'm just going to rotate this straight-ish. I want it to be straight along the center back here. So I'm going to rotate y-axis this center back. So here is my skirt base, my dress base. This is what I want. This is my base. I'm going to go ahead and save this file. Save as, I can save this as garment or as project. I'm going to save it as the project. I'm going to make a new folder. I really need to name this another thing, but okay. Let's see. So I've got this here in place. So why did I use strengthening? It does not help it conform to the body better. It actually helps it pop out from the shape. So I'm going to unstrengthen, and I'm going to show you why strengthening is useful. So you saw it with strengthening, so you can think about it like you've added starch if you know fabric in the real life. Think of it like you've added starch to your material. So once I do that, I've removed it. Now it's falling. So now it's draping like real fabric. Whereas if I left strengthen on, it would be a great support structure. But right now it's draped now like fabric would that didn't have like a lot of starch added to it or a lot of stabilizer or something. So that's why I add strengthening, to do two things: to pop it out in case there's any issues with simulation and help solve itself, as well as to kind of get a base shape down, and then I can let it settle. So I'm keeping my pins here because this is the cheater method. We're doing some cheat things because once you know the rules, then you can start breaking them, but it's good to know what the rules are first, and then you can understand why you're breaking them, is always how I've gone with teaching, as well as I learned in school. So we'll bring the sleeves back in and simulate. Yeah, I figured. These sleeves are not going to be used a lot, but they're a good example of how to manipulate something, which we'll do soon. So I'm going to give her a small corset of some sort, so I'm going to show you how to use to create that shape. Like a waist cincher, because this is some pretty fantasy gown, right? So let's go ahead. I'm going to use pop this out. I'm going to use the line tools, and I'm going to create the shape cutting out of this piece. So I'm going to use the line 3D pattern tool, and I'm going to draw on her. Oops. Just on the half. Oh, come here. And double click to finish it, and then we're going to do the same with center front-ish. Just to create that waist cinch. This is not how this would work in real life, but you know, we're gonna go with it. So I've created that half shape here for this waist cincher. At least I have my shape down. I can start adding details to it, but to do that, I'm going to go ahead and select both of these internal lines and convert to internal shape. So now it's across both the center pieces, and I can also fix this to meet in the center. So it's all nice and pretty. So now I have this shape. Extend and trim to pattern outline. It looks like it didn't apply to the back for some reason. Oh. We'll just fix that. Double click, and then we'll try that again. Convert to internal shape. There we go. Nice. Oh yes, I'm sorry. Just like Rosemary said, to get the curve point, it's the control key. Okay, where are you? Okay, now that I'm done with this, I added too much of a curve here. Just a little bit. I want it to be straight across that waist. There we go. Come on. Oh, wrong way. Make sure your stuff connects before you cut it. Or connects close enough, you know. Extend and trim to pattern outline. Okay. Same with this one. get those shapes down. I could actually measure this, but I'm not going to. It'll be close enough. There we go. So now that I've got this waist cincher in place, I could either create it as a separate piece or I could create it on top. In this case, I'm just going to create it as a separate piece to reduce the layer calculations that I'm going to have to deal with. So I'm selecting all of those lines, right-clicking and choosing cut and sew, and I'm hoping I did my math right and that they all break apart. Perfect. Ah. It's like, yay, no. Come here. Select, right click, cut and sew. Make sure there's sewing relationships. Looks like some of them just ended up cutting away. That's fine. And I'm just fixing where some of them got removed. Oop, come here. Okay, fine. Delete. We'll just have one long one. Alright, I think they're all back. Except for the shoulder. Sometimes this just happens when you have too many complex pieces, so there. And you can see I lost my pins popped away, which is fine. Holding W and then clicking, left click, I can just kind of put it back. You could also pin it to your avatar. I'm just not doing that. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to move this corset together. Moving these pieces side by side. And the same with the waist cincher. Okay. There's not a shortcut for deleting. You just right click and then pins, or Control W would actually be deleting all pins. I don't like to do Control W because I do, you're more likely to have error, like, what's the word? You're more likely to have user errors if you do that too many times. It's, oops, there we go. Where'd I throw this? It's not smart if you work really fast. Like you've seen me do sometimes. Where did I throw this? There it is. Oh, I keep forgetting. So it's not, it's a shortcut key, but if you know you're going to keep making those mistakes repeatedly, I wouldn't use the shortcut key. So that's why I don't use the shortcut key. Because I'm very likely to make mistakes if I do that without thinking. If that makes sense. And I'm just going to start designing this corset piece here. offset at his internal line. We'll do, what, 20 millimeters? Yeah, we'll do 20 millimeters. Okay, I was like, why aren't they lining up? Oops. Let's do something a little different. So I can use measurements. I can also just use not in the middle. I think I want to do that. No. Extend and trim, add point to pattern outline. 48.5, so I can also use the split line, 48.5, to measure. So here I'm just designing whatever this corset is going to look like. I want to add a little bit of difference in the middle here. I'm going to cheat a like kind of peekaboo look by doing this, so add point to pattern outline. Here's like one of the couple times where measurements are great, so 32.7, split, 32.7, and then continue this line. I think. I could either do that or let's see. I want to not keep it exactly the same. All right, cool. And then, because this design is kind of going to be the most intricate part, and then we'll have the gathering. Oh, let me pull up the chat in case I miss it. Yeah, or like Rosemary said, you can always click on the pins individually. It's really up to you. Convert to curve point, measure. 33.8, convert to curve. Split, 33.8. Yes. 47? Oh, nice. Full piece, 47. So again, you could have just done this the easy way, and I chose not to, by just drawing on it. And I'm just going to convert these points to curve points. And extend and trim and add point to pattern outline. And then I can measure this again. 48.9, split 48.9. This is honestly the hardest part, is just, most tedious part I should say is this. 46.3, split 46.3. And this is fun. Make sure that they kind of line up. Oh, this way. No, just add a little curve. That's fine. Okay. So what is going to happen, and why I've done this, is I'm going to be adding, this is where I'm adding the next level of layers. So I'm actually pulling this down and getting this out of my way. I don't know how I want my layers to be for this piece. I might want to have the gathering come out of this and become a part of this piece. So what I need to do first is create a layer clone for this. So I'm actually going to not move only the internal lines. Come here. Come here, you. Where are you? I'm just aligning them on the bottom. Align, bottom. This piece right here is just not wanting to listen. Okay. Pull down. Layer clone over. Layer clone over. And I'm placing it. I swear. I select you. Layer clone over. There we go. And now it's got a whole piece on top. So I'm faking some of this. So this also shows me that I can now, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm looking on my pattern outlines and I'm selecting all of these internal lines and I'm going to cut them. If it lets me. Fine. So again, this is the most complex part. So right click, cut and sew. And me doing this is removing that linked editing, which is perfectly fine. So now I have this layered on top that is much thicker. I am going to add a fabric in this case. So I'm actually going to Control A, apply fabric 1. Fabric 2 is going to be, we'll have fabric 1 be, let's just make it a blue. A light blue. I'll turn on the texture. Fabric 2 will be gold because that'll be the corset. Like a, sure. This whole thing, actually this upper layer will be blue, will be this. Apply, just so we can see the difference. I am going to apply it to this one too. So here's this piece. We've got the start of our dress here. I don't like this color. I'm like, could they like pick from like something else? Okay, whatever. We'll do that. It's a little better. Maybe if I did like a brown. And then made a satin. That's very shiny, but okay. All right. So shiny. It's fine. So I want to have another one of these. So I'm going to layer clone this one. So I'm probably going to do some gathering here, and I want another piece that will probably just occupy maybe this piece and then come out of here. So what I'm going to do is copy all of these pieces. Well, I'm going to do this one. Copy. Control C, Control V. I'm copying both of these. I'm freezing everything. And I'm only working with these two pieces. So I want to have a drape in the front. So what I'm going to do is, I'm probably going to have it coming out of here. Here. Layer over, come out. Yeah, okay. And then I'll probably have another layer, maybe another row. So I'm going to cut this upper portion so you guys can see here. So I'm going to keep this piece frozen and I'm going to unfreeze this. Beautiful. So there's also no layer values in this scene. So what's going to happen is I'm going to make these pieces merge. B, select both, merge, apply the blue value, and then to fake this coming out, I'm going to have it just sew directly to the piece below it, and right click superimpose over. That's not pretty. Since it's already kind of there, it's nice. I'll just do it this way. And make sure this is a layer value that's higher than what's below it, so I'm going to give it a layer value of 1. Oh, and because they merged together, they're frozen together. So I'm going to unfreeze this. Oh. So now we have a little tabard, basically. But I want this to not be a tabard, I want this to be gathered. It rhymes. So to make this easy, we did cover this in the last stream. Also, to make this a little bit easier, I'll either cheat or I won't cheat. Do I want it to be gathered and sewn? I could sew it to here to keep it in place, but we're going to see how we like it. So, to make this easy, I'm just going to make it very, very wide, at least twice the width. And then I'm going to, of course, clean up my hem. This is also why we're doing it this way. Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah, let me change that. It's just such a pretty blue. There. So it's gathered. Let me grab another value fabric, actually, too. Listen, I don't mean to, but I think it's a pretty color, I guess. So I'm going to grab some fabric here, because now it's like the design, the fun part. Let me grab chiffon. Silk chiffon, we'll grab that and bring it into the scene. I hate when that happens. Okay, grab, drag, drop. I mean, that works. It's going to be a matching color, so I'm just going to eyedrop that and apply it to this. I will want this to be actually more opaque than what it is right now, because it is my magical world and I want it to be opaque, even though it's chiffon. I'm going to make this 10 particle distance, just so I get more gathering. You can't see the physical properties on my screen? I haven't selected anything. So if I want this to be less floofy, I can also turn off simulation and kind of sew it into place like I was contemplating earlier, like you guys saw. So if I really want to keep it in place, I can actually do this. And then sew it a good portion of the way down, and I'll only apply that to the front. And it'll apply it to both sides sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. Must have turned off symmetrical linking. And here's where I can also force it to kind of hold a specific shape, because it's still frozen. And I'm going to make this not turned, actually. I want this to be custom angle, and I actually want this to be going out the other way. So I can also force this like into this shape if I really want, like you can see here. I have a feeling this also needs to be much wider. And what I'm going to do is pivot this away. So I'm going to use the slash and spread. Oops. I don't know how to say your name, but the person who has the property editor issue, if you can't see my property editor, it's probably just because of the lag. It's showing up for me. If you're having an issue with your software, I would suggest submitting a support ticket or making sure that like your download is exactly the correct file type and you're not missing anything and you're not trying to override any missing items. If you are... Stop that. Stop! Okay. Bring this back up. No. 20, not 2. Never do 2 particle distance. Thank you. 20. There. And to make this a little bit easier, so you guys are seeing also how the more complex I'm making this, the slower my simulation is getting. That is the one issue with gowns, is it takes a while. So with this piece, I'm actually going to remove linked editing, and I'm going to help my wrinkles fall in place. So I'm going to use offset as line along a curve, and I'm going to just increase this to a factor of 3, do 60. And I'm going to use the pleat folding tool to give me accordion pleats. Keep them in the location, and then I'll have it simulate. And it'll help kind of settle this. I am going to do... There's multiple ways to work here. So you can just use the brush tool, so select mesh tool. I can just select my mesh that is going into this piece and subdivide. Right click, subdivide. So now it's going to be level of 1. We'll do a level of 2. So it folds a little bit better, and I don't have to make this even less. I don't have to worry about making this lower than 20 right now. Don't worry about this color here. It's because it's just showing me that I have subdivide on this piece. I do like that it's actually like sewing into place. No! But if you're having issues with your property editor, make sure you are selecting a pattern piece in the scene and your property editor appears. If you are having other technical issues, I cannot help you during the stream. I recommend you contact the support ticket options that I mentioned earlier in the very beginning of the stream. Or you can always check the description on our YouTube channel. I have it linked there. Let's see. I think I want to do... Let's do one more. Let's do one more. Okay. I want to move. You move. Trying to figure out how I want to do this. I think I do want to do... I could do a whole nother one beneath this for more. Like for another layer. That's straight. Or I could do something else. Let's do the sleeve. I can't do sleeves yet. What do you guys think? I'm trying to think of I like this. I don't want to ruin it. I could have another one come out here. Oh, I bet rosemary. Yeah. Trying to think of where to do, like I could have more dress come out of the middle. But people were asking how to do gathering and ruching. This is how you do it. You can use the existing pattern and then just make it wider. I kind of want to add more, but it means I also have to delete this sewing and then apply it later. Because I would need these pieces like underneath it. Let me simulate. Oh, I have an idea. I'm going to have it come down and sew. Okay. Idea. So I'm going to sew just this portion. And then we are going to do pop, pop. Do we want to come out here or here? Comes out. It'll come out of that one, right? Trying to figure out which is the smallest piece. If we want it to come out here, then we get this shape. But if I come out here, we're gonna do the big one and then I can make it smaller if we need to. Control C, Control V again. Because now at least I have the shape down. So 1, 2. Oh, it's already. Throw this here. Come here. B, merge. And then merge these two. And then what I can do is do this. So all the way up. And then this piece gets longer, like we did earlier, but we're going to throw this and make that beach silk chiffon. I can just make this wider like this. It does warp it a bit. It warps it more than I want it to. Not that wide. This will be double anyway. I don't want to lose the shape too much. Same thing. Sewing to where it's coming out of. Let's see. That's coming out of the correct spot. Okay. And before we do that, we will do the... I'm going to clean this up. This is always the hardest part because I didn't have much of a design plan. Convert to curve points, and then I'll offset them. And then we'll do the sleeves, and then we'll be done. Offset is internal line along a curve, and we'll do 30 of this one because it's smaller. Same thing. I'm going to be using the pleat fold tool to just create an accordion pleat. Okay. And this time, oh, I threw it all the way over here, didn't I? Superimpose side. And I'm freezing this front piece. How about you don't do that? Over. Close enough. It's at 20 particle distance. I'm going to deactivate my avatar just for the sake of it. Everything else is frozen. That's why it's easier for me to do exactly what I'm about to try. Activate this pattern piece. Sometimes superimpose works, sometimes it doesn't. As you can see here, it didn't work as well as I had wanted. And this is also why I'm using Control H, because it's going to help me pop it out. Oh, it also needs to be layer 1. Otherwise, it's going to try to be sucked underneath the side one. Pull this out. The only reason I can have my avatar disabled is because everything in the scene is frozen except for this one piece. Strengthening also helps with... Let me reactivate her. Activate. Okay. Strengthening also helps force your pleats into place. For those of you who are newer to that. And this one here I'm also going to. Trying to decide. You know, I don't actually like what it's doing. Lock pattern outlines. I don't like the shape of this, so I'm going to fix the silhouette. Unlock pattern outlines. Remove. Delete curve points. Delete curve points. This is fine. And then I'm going to pivot slash and spread. Pivot this to be wider. Convert to curve points. And then I'm going to do this again. 30. So I have my curves. It's still sewn in place, so just remember that. I did delete all of the pleat information, so I'm going to reapply the accordion pleat. 1, 2, 3. Sometimes superimpose over works. We're going to try over again. No, it didn't. All right. So if you're having a problem like this, you can do a couple of things. You can let it sit in place. You can also reset, not 2D, but reset the 3D arrangement. I don't want it to go back to where it was. And then just rotate it by hand, as I'm doing here. And so I'm going to let this go in. Everything else is frozen, which makes this easy for me to work in. And the accordions will go, and I'm not going to touch this anymore. So because I'm keeping them separate, I can then readjust how this is going to work. Okay, so I just need to pull this back out. They are the same layer value, which is good. This happens because of the inertia. So now I'm going to sew it back into place. This piece I will sew back into place. How do I want to do this? I will do it the measured way. So I'm sticking with the exact length of each piece, and I'm sewing the upper layer. So unfortunately, an example of knowing exactly what you need to do when you're working is because I removed the symmetrical link, on this piece, I have to then apply it manually afterwards. So if you know what you're trying to do and what look you're trying to achieve, it is best to work that way. But you guys get to see the full process, which is why we do this. And if you encounter the same issue, you know, you can delete some pieces and step back, but sometimes there's less value in doing that, and you end up losing what you were working on. So it is up to your discretion if you were to do that. As you can see, I've chosen to not do that, just because I don't want to lose how this is draping. Yeah. Okay, and so I'm going to reactivate these. Luckily, they are a different color now. But this is very dense mesh, except for this one. In fact, I will use the... I'm just going to use the select mesh box for this one. So it's this upper piece. Right click, upper piece. Oh, not that much. Right click, subdivide. I'll do a 2 subdivision. Because it's at 20 particle distance, so if I can actually leave the lower piece at 20 particle distance, that would be great. So you can see how it's not dense here, but it's very dense up here. So this actually ends up being about 5 particle distance. And now these are also settling in place a lot easier because they are much denser of a mesh. And then that lets me pull this out if I wanted to. Because I can do Control H for this to have it pop out. Or because of the pleating, I can go in. Which is actually going to be nice for layering in a minute. So I'll let this settle, and then I'm going to apply this to the matching side. Give that a second. Now my simulation is much slower because I have pieces that are at 5 particle distance, which are this upper portion of this dress. Okay. So before I let this simulate back, I am going to select my piece. Control C, Control... Why'd I do that? All right, try that again. Controls. I hate when I hit, I keep hitting the Windows key. Control C, Control D for asymmetrically linked pattern piece. My 2D window, my UV mesh is not pretty right now. Please don't judge me. We were trying to spend 2 hours to make a really pretty dress, so my UV is not going to be clean. And now what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get it as close as I can to the mirrored one. And then it's going to be the lower one. Oh, the sewing relationship was already there, I think. Guess not. Okay, and make sure it's not going to get all twisty. Okay. And then do the same to the upper skirt. And give that a second. And simulate. Probably should have frozen the other half, but it's okay. It does freeze it itself, you can see here. I do need to adjust that sewing though. So this is getting slower and slower the more I have in my scene. So I'm going to need to freeze these ideally as soon as I can. I also have a bit of an issue with that. I want this to be coming out of the bottom. You can see it's not matching. So we'll fix that. This should slide down. Perfect. Is this also an issue? Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to zoom out because this will be fun. And then I do want to do one thing. I want to make sure that this is all turned. Not a custom angle. I want this to be turned so it kind of comes out flat. Okay. So I removed the strengthening, and this should poof out. So now I can kind of actually start pulling at it if I wanted. To make this easier, and so I don't actually lose the look of the silhouette, let's make this back down, and just for the sake of views, I'm going to turn off the internal lines so we can kind of see it a bit better. Because this piece is actually sewn to the center panel. And there's a couple of things that I can do to keep this a little bit more in place if I wanted. Let me let it settle before I do this. What I can do is if you want this to be closer and flatter, you can sew it. You can have it would be a nightmare. You can cut and sew and then have the pleats sew together to get that gathered look, but it's going to make a lot of work for you. So I am going to leave this so that we can go on and move on to the sleeves. We'll let this settle down and let it free, and then we'll freeze it, and then we'll move on. Because she's going to have some sleeve, we're going to have some capes, and I only have 20 minutes to do that. So I'm going to let this do what it wants. I'll also just turn off just you guys, for the sake of seeing it. It's calculating this while I'm doing this, so I'm going to turn off show subdivision, just so it's nice and pretty. Half an hour, remember the sleeves. I know. Well, that's the thing, is that I couldn't do the sleeves until I had the silhouette down, and I wanted to have the gathering. I wanted to show the concepts of gathering and then gathering it into those pieces, because people did ask about that on the Discord in our last stream request discussion. So it's there now. We have it. I could even so if you want these to be more form-fitting, you can like cut them and actually like use the pleat sewing tool to sew them like to like a back piece, or you could sew them to each other. It's basically you're shirring them, and there's a couple of tutorials on how to like shirr or gather for that specific look, but we're just doing like a big floofy dress. I could make it a two-part thing, but I know you guys don't always like the two-part things. So I'm like, I don't know. I'd like to make it two-part, but I'm trying to avoid doing two parts. I mean, I could. Delete point. lock pattern outlines, grab my internal lines. Right click, extend to pattern outline. So I get that shape back. Unlock pattern outlines. I don't know, you guys can decide if you want this to be a two-part thing. Because now I can start working on... You know, I'm gonna be a little bit of a brat. Well, you guys can decide makes it worse. I actually really want to do... Where's the sewing line? Where are you? You. I want the silhouette back, and I'm going to do it the evil way. Because I don't want this popping out here. So I'm going to force it together even more. Because I am evil. Because in this way I can get more. I can have it fall forward more. Okay, this might be a two-part thing. I didn't want to, but like it looks so much better if I did. Because technically we made the dress. Right now she doesn't have to have sleeves. So if I don't freeze it, and I don't simulate, you know, this is a pretty cool dress for now, so far. We'll turn this back on. I'm not evil. I can be. I'll just make you guys wait another 2 weeks. Show you evil. This also ends up kind of looking like Khaleesi-ish, which is not intentional, but it's looking like it, doesn't it? I don't want it to be yellow, I want it to be more brown. Oh yeah, save my progress. And definitely save. I have autosave on like every 2 minutes right now, so that's why I am a little bit playing it wild and free right now. I actually haven't applied a fabric to these pieces yet, so I'm just going to do silk satin, so we have that. So you can also see through it. This is also still 20 particle distance. I will not be simulating this right now, but you can still see how it's looking. And because of what I did here, okay, I am gonna freeze this. Come here, you. I want to move these out of the way, and I need to do that a little bit better so I can do some more progress. Okay. All right, we probably will make this a two-parter. Okay. We might, maybe we'll see if when I do it. We'll freeze, and then I'd like to see, let me see, I can't remember if that's, no. B, I really do want this to be, I want volume, but I don't want to cut into my silhouette. So I am going to adjust this a little bit more. So I saved my progress, just so you guys know. Save your progress. This is now Fantasy Dress Base. Unfortunately, I should have saved this as a separate piece, but that's fine. What's happening right now is I'm actually having this gather even more so towards the center, because I want to have the silhouette on the, I want to have her silhouette less affected by, let me zoom in here. less affected by this right here. I want to have it seen. So that is why I am doing the closer gather here. Another way to do that and to force it, which is what I'm going to do right now. This is frozen. I'm going to add internal lines, so I'm going to do that again with my edit line tool. Not edit line tool, my line tool. Fine. Or not. Let's see, where are we? I'll force it into place. Where is that sewing line? Here's the sewing line. Just like you've seen me do before, I can right-click the sewing line, add point to the start. So this is where that sewing line is. I'm going to make it straight across this line here because you want to match up with the front. So I'm actually going to eyeball this. So it's straight-ish. Let's see. Actually, I can do a better job. What is that? 32.8. Split 32.8. And then apply that to this one. Split 32.8. Okay. And split 32.8. Okay. Then using an internal line. I've turned off internal lines, so you're not going to see it on the pattern right now, but I am creating vertical lines here. Or vertical enough. So they're parallel to this. And because I've done this, I'm also going to let's see if I can actually do that. Because I did that. Fine, whatever. Because I've made them not the same, I can't apply that, which is another example of being thoughtful and thinking ahead of how you're working and how you're designing. So I can't symmetrically link them yet because they're not symmetrical. Okay. Okay, and what is this? Oh, I see what happened. Cleaning up, but these little lines are going to be really helpful in keeping it in place. So now that they're symmetrical, apply linked editing. Now they're going to apply linked editing across these two. Apply linked editing. Symmetrical pattern. Okay. So now that I have this, I can go to these pieces far, far away. But since they're symmetrically linked, it should actually apply to both. Let's make sure it did. Okay, it is. Okay, so now we can see that I can keep this in place. I'm using Control H to kind of push it in place, force it there. Yes, it's going to be mad. It doesn't want to be that dense. But it's fine for now. Because now this piece is here. So, I'll give this a second. That another second. Because this one's laying really well, but this one's, for some reason, just not. Okay, and now we'll have them split apart. Because this way I can have that silhouette. So what I'm doing, the reason I'm doing this is because I really want to be able to see, let me click away. See the fabric on the hips, even with this like this. Because I'm going to be adding big billowy sleeves, so we're going to lose that. Yes, this dress doesn't make any sense, but that's kind of the point. I kind of feel like I should add it. We'll add a cape, and then it'll be a little even. We'll add really long sleeves, and then we'll add another gathered cape just like this. And it'll be a little bit, a little more successful. Because it does look weird. But this way I can keep, like, the hint of the hips here. You know what else I might do? Is I might do a little... Well, that's there. I can also just pin it. I don't like tacking personally, but it is a good way to force something into place if you really kind of need it to. Tack. So I could do... I can kind of force it. I just really need like that to be there. And then this one can be, you know, there. Oops. Because it's see-through. Nope. Can I just do... There we go. And edit tack. Attack, attack. To there-ish. 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 Okay, there. Playing that eyeball game. Oh, this one's too far. Where'd you go? Oh, edit tack. Pull it forward. But it's not the most pretty thing, as you can see. I also need to edit the tack again. But I can force it to kind of lay in the places that I want it to by doing it this way. But I'm doing it a little bit the hard way. Let's see where this tack is hitting. There we go. That's much better. And we'll simulate, settle in place. So this one's we'll probably end up doing a second one. Do you guys like it when I have part twos though? Because we'll definitely end up doing the sleeves in part 2 at this point. I'm just going to let this simulate in place because we only have a couple more minutes. But we will finish this up on the next stream then. Hopefully in the future I'll be able to stream for longer periods of time. But as you know, we only have a 2-hour limit currently. But see, I like this. This looks nice. I could have just made an internal line and sewn it to it, and I might do that later. Because then we'll do the sleeves. And then the cape will go over the sleeves. And we'll probably do like the big billowy circle skirt style sleeves in the next one. And add some more complex detail to it. But this is something that you can easily accomplish in 2 hours, as you have just seen me do. My little sweater's doing some stuff. Obviously, this is very impractical, but this is a fantasy dress. And again, I'm saving my progress. But we can at least do this. Oops, didn't want to do that. Are we looking at? Oh, I'm still looking at it with pins. We're going to give this fabric a look as well. What if we did velvet? Just, ooh. Just for the sake of video here. Just for the sake of it looking pretty. I mean, this stuff's still 20 particle distance, so I'm gonna have to clean it up a little bit, but we'll do that in the next stream. Might clean it up a little bit elsewhere. What is going on here? What are you doing? That looks a little funky, but I don't know why. But we will end it here with how pretty it looks. Turn off pins. It looks so nice. Okay, let me see. What if this was leather? Oh, that's interesting. I do like the velvet look. Glass. It's clear. Plastic. We'll do shiny for now. But we will move on from here. We will continue this in the next stream. So thank you guys for joining us. I will probably let you guys vote on what kind of sleeves you want to see on the Discord channel. So again, check out the bio and check out the bio on Twitch, and as well check out the comment, the description in the YouTube video. It's got a link to the Discord. We will continue this on the next stream, and I will let you guys decide what kind of sleeve you want and or a concept that I will apply to then make whatever sleeve we want to make. But we did cover the same concepts of what I would end up doing if, like, to make the big billowy sleeves. That's exactly what we did for this front skirt. So thank you guys for joining us. I will hopefully see you guys on the Discord channel. Right, it's got us. I want to clean up a little bit. Like, oh, you actually know what I want to do. I want to do that. There we go. See, I want it to look a little bit more woven. That's why I did this. I'm gonna do bop and bop. Yeah, I need to fix this. I don't know what's going on with that. But I'll fix it, and then we'll continue this next stream. But check the Discord, check Twitter. We are making announcements and like scheduling the streams out more. But I will see you guys online. Thank you for joining, and I'll see ya.